Good day, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. Let's take a quiet, meaningful moment to set the scene together. Imagine it's a typical, peaceful night in the Australian suburbs. You went to bed at 10, feeling reasonably tired, and you were truly, honestly, hoping for a solid 8 hours of restorative, deep rest. But then, as if an invisible alarm clock went off deep inside your head, your eyes snap open. You glance at the digital clock on the bedside table, and there it is. Again. It's exactly 3 a.m. The house is dead quiet. You might hear the faint, rhythmic hum of the fridge in the kitchen, or perhaps the distant, low rustle of the wind through the gum trees in the backyard. You try to close your eyes. You try to focus on the slow rise and fall of your chest. But your brain has already shifted into second gear. Suddenly, you're thinking about the bills, or the grandkids, or that nagging, uncomfortable worry about why you just can't seem to stay asleep anymore. You wonder to yourself, is there something wrong with me? Why can't I just rest like I used to? If you're over 50 or 60, you've probably been told by well-meaning friends, or even some doctors, that this is just a normal part of getting older. We tend to brush it off, assuming our bodies simply don't need as much rest as they used to. But the truth, the actual scientific truth, is much more important than that. Sleep remains the absolute foundation of our health, especially as we age. It's the only time when our brain flushes out metabolic waste, and our heart finally gets a much-needed break from the day's constant demands. Waking up at 3 a.m. isn't just a random coincidence. In the world of sleep science, this hour is often seen as a biological breaking point. If this is happening to you night after night, your body isn't just being difficult. It's actually trying to send you a message. It's a subtle, yet urgent signal about your metabolism, your heart, or perhaps your nervous system. Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to decode these signals together. We aren't here to offer medical cures or grand diagnoses, but rather to help you understand the unique language of your own body. This way, you can have a more informed, confident conversation with your local GP, and hopefully, find your way back to the restful, deep sleep you deserve. So, we have to ask the big question. Why 3 a.m.? Why not 1 or 5? To understand this, we need to meet the two primary managers of your sleep cycle, melatonin and cortisol. Think of melatonin as a gentle, quiet guide, whose only job is to tuck you in and keep you safe for the night. Cortisol, on the other hand, is like a strict, energetic supervisor, whose job is to wake you up and get you moving for the day ahead. When we were in our 20s, melatonin was incredibly powerful. It kept us under a deep, heavy spell until the sun came up. You could probably sleep through a thunderstorm back then, couldn't you? But as we cross the age of 60, the pineal gland in your brain, that tiny, pine cone-shaped part that produces melatonin, undergoes some natural changes. It often produces significantly less of this sleep hormone than it used to. This means that by the time we reach the early hours of the morning, the spell of sleep is much thinner and much more fragile than it used to be. By about 3 a.m., most of us have already completed our first 2 cycles of deep sleep. This is the point where our body naturally transitions into a lighter phase called REM sleep, or dream sleep. In a perfect world, our cortisol levels should only start to rise very, very slowly, preparing us for a 7 a.m. wake-up. However, for many older Australians, the boundary between sleep and wakefulness becomes paper-thin at this specific hour. Even the smallest internal shift, a tiny drop in blood sugar, a slight rise in heart rate, or a signal from the bladder, can cause your cortisol to spike much earlier than it should. It sends a high-priority alert to the brain. Hey, something needs attention. Wake up now. And suddenly, there you are, wide awake. You feel alert, almost as if you've just had a strong cup of coffee. But underneath that alertness is a heavy, leaden exhaustion. You aren't up because you have rested. You're up because a biological alarm was triggered, and your brain is now on high alert, searching for a problem to solve. Now, let's look much closer at 4 specific areas where your body might be trying to tell you something during that 3 a.m. wake-up call. First, let's talk about metabolism and blood sugar. Many people don't realize that our liver acts like a backup battery, storing energy to keep our brain fed while we fast during sleep. As we age, our battery doesn't always hold a charge quite as well as it once did. Around 3 a.m., if your blood sugar levels dip just a little too low, your brain senses a fuel shortage, and it panics. To protect itself, the brain triggers a surge of adrenaline to force the liver to release more sugar into the blood. That adrenaline is a powerful stimulant. It's what causes that racing heart feeling, or that light, cold sweat you might feel when you wake up. It's not a panic attack in the traditional sense. It's your metabolism trying to balance the scales in the middle of the night. If you find yourself waking up hungry or feeling wired, this is a signal to look at your evening nutrition. Second is the signal from your heart and oxygen levels. This is a vital one to listen to. As we age, the muscles in the throat area can become a bit more relaxed than they used to be. If you happen to be sleeping on your back, your airway can narrow slightly. And during that light sleep phase at 3 a.m., if your oxygen levels drop even a fraction, your brain will snap you awake to ensure you take a deep, clear breath. This is a brilliant survival mechanism, but it shatters your sleep quality and leaves you feeling groggy. If you wake up with a dry mouth, or perhaps a slight headache behind the eyes, it might be a signal that your breathing needs a bit of support. It's always worth mentioning these specific patterns to your GP, especially if you've been told that you snore. Third, we have what we call fluid redistribution. You might think you're waking up simply because you need the loo. But have you ever wondered why the bladder always seems so full at exactly 3 a.m.? When we spend our day upright, walking, gardening, or sitting, gravity causes fluid to pool slightly in our lower legs. You might notice your socks leaving a bit of a mark by the evening. When you lie down at night, this fluid finally moves back into your bloodstream. Your kidneys see this extra volume, and they start working overtime to filter it out. It's essentially an internal circulation check. Your bladder isn't actually the problem here. It's just the messenger for how your body is handling fluid and circulation during the night. It's a sign that your heart and kidneys are working hard to balance your system while you rest. And fourth, we have the nervous system and the monkey mind. 3 a.m. is often referred to as the hour of the soul, because it's the time when our psychological defenses are at their lowest. If you've had a stressful day, or if you're carrying worries about the future, your nervous system remains in a state of high alert even while you sleep. Because melatonin levels are lower at this hour, your brain chooses this exact moment to replay your worries like a broken record. It's a sign that your nervous system might need more support and relaxation during the daylight hours, rather than just trying to fix it at night. If you find your brain spinning at 3 a.m., your body is telling you that your stress bucket is overflowing. So, knowing all of this, how can we support our bodies to stay asleep until the kookaburras wake us up? While everyone's health journey is unique, there are 3 practical steps you can try to help quieten those internal alarms. Step 1 is the steady fuel snack. If you think your blood sugar might be dipping, try a small, protein-rich snack about an hour before you head to bed. Maybe a few walnuts, a spoonful of Greek yogurt, or even a hard-boiled egg. Protein provides a very slow, steady release of energy that can help prevent that 3 a.m. spike, giving your liver a helping hand throughout the night. It keeps the fuel gauge out of the red zone. Step 2 is what I call the leg reset. To help your kidneys get ahead of the game, try resting with your legs elevated above your heart for about 20 minutes in the late afternoon. You can do this while watching the news or reading a book. This helps that fluid return to your circulation while you're still awake, so you can head to the bathroom before you go to bed, rather than being woken up at 3 a.m. It's a simple, effective way to offload the work from your kidneys during the night. And step 3 is the 20-minute rule. If you do wake up at 3 a.m., please, whatever you do, don't reach for your phone. That blue light is like a delete button for whatever tiny amount of sleep hormones you have left. If you aren't back to sleep in 20 minutes, don't lie there tossing and turning. That only teaches your brain that the bed is a place for worrying. Gently get out of bed, go to a different room, and sit in a comfortable chair with very dim, warm light. Do a simple breathing exercise. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, and exhale very slowly for 8 seconds. This sends a direct, physical signal to your nervous system that you are safe and that it's okay to turn the alarm off and return to rest. Sleep after 60 might not be as effortless as it once was, but it can still be deeply restorative and peaceful. Remember, waking up during the night isn't a failure of your body. It's just your body trying to communicate with you in the only way it knows how. Be patient with yourself and listen to what those early morning hours are trying to say. If you found these insights helpful, please consider sharing this video with your friends or family who might be staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. as well. We'd truly love to hear from you in the comments. What time do you usually wake up? And have you found anything that helps you get back to sleep? Your experiences might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. As always, the information we have shared here is for educational purposes, to help you understand your body better. If you're feeling constantly exhausted, or if you're worried about your heart or your general health, make sure to book a chat with your GP. There is simply no substitute for professional, personalized medical advice that understands your specific history. Wishing you all a very peaceful, very long, and very restorative night's sleep. I look forward to seeing you in our next video, where we'll discuss the 5 most common sleep mistakes we all make. Good night for now, and take care.